Welcome to the Bull and Bear Show, episode number 23. I'm your host, Richard D'Souza, with the Rich TV Live podcast, and I'm here with my very special co-host, Nash Cowboy. How you doing today, Nash?
I'm doing great. How you doing, Chief?
Doing fantastic, man. Great to have you on the show. And we may have some other guests join us, but I know a lot of people are busy. We've got the Halloween theme going on in the background. So if any of you guys want to join us, feel free to join us. If you guys can't make it, I totally get it. Myself and Cowboy will steer the ship today on today's episode. But there's lots to talk about, crazy amounts of news happening right now, tons of things that are trending. So let's get into the first topic here. And we're going to talk a little bit about this war because this war is raging and there's a lot of things going on with this war. So we're going to talk about it, and we're going to talk about how the United States is getting involved first and foremost, because you're in the US and I'd love to hear your opinion. So the first part of news is this. There it is. So U.S. strikes Iran-linked sites in Syria amid fears that Israel-Hamas war could escalate. So I'd love to know your opinion. What do you think about this? Is America going to war now with Iran? What do you think, Nash?
I think very much so. It's getting pretty crazy out there. I know you feel the same way I do about it. I just want to see people stop dying. There's a lot of innocent lives lost. It's definitely escalating. I'm at the point where I feel like we're in World War III. They're just not announcing it yet. Um, it's getting crazy, man. I'm not siding with either side. I'm not even sure we should be stepping in anywhere, but hopefully that it does resolve something. I just pray for the country, pray for all the countries involved. Actually, um, they did strike a weapons facility and an ammo storage place. Hopefully, those were the targets that they really hit. There have been a lot of strikes done on both Israel and uh, Gaza and all of them to some very bad targets, and a lot of the innocent lives lost. And I just pray that God intervenes and all this comes to an end and we get peace.
I agree with you 100%. We need it. We need peace. And this is very scary that the United States is getting involved. Obviously, if you're America and you've got bases in the Middle East and they're being attacked, obviously you're going to want to do something. You're going to do something to fight back. You're not going to just allow them to attack you. So it's a very scary situation. It's an extremely scary situation. I honestly don't know what the course of action is, or the best course of action is. But clearly, this is a very scary situation because if America gets involved, we have to think that China and Russia could get involved and Iran can get involved. And now that America is directly fighting with Iran, Iran is part of BRICS and Russia and China are part of BRICS. So they're allies. So when the United States starts fighting with Iran, that gives Russia and China more reason to want to get involved in this war. And that can really make this war escalate very, very quickly and make it very dangerous, in my opinion. So I'm really concerned about this. This is not the news that I wanted to see. And, I'm going to be honest with you. I blame Joe Biden. I just don't think Biden really understands what's going on. I don't know if he's capable of understanding what's going on, but this is a very serious problem. This is a serious issue. And when the United States is now fighting Iran, whether it's in Syria or Lebanon or Iraq, which is where apparently they are fighting these Iranian targets, that's just one step closer to having full scale war between the United States in Iran. And if that does happen, which it seems like it's escalating to that direction, you have to assume, like I said, that Russia and China will get involved. So, Nash Cowboy, do you believe that this will escalate and Russia and China will get involved if the United States continues to fight with Iran?
Absolutely. I do think it will. For one, it's not like we have Trump in office. We're not respected right now as a country. Nobody fears anything that Biden says. So it could very, very quickly escalate into that. And they're already there. It's not like they're not there. Um, Russia has some warships over there, China's over there. Uh, and it could get very ugly very quick. And we need to somehow come up with a plan to de escalate that because Lord knows we don't need war everywhere. And we just need to come up with a solution. Um, it's going to be a tough path from here. Uh, I don't even know where to go with it because we've already escalated it into is there a return or is it just whatever's happening is going to happen?
Yeah, it's really scary. It's I'm in Canada, you're in the United States. This is really, really scary. We have our own issues in our own countries, which we'll get into. We have a lot of issues in Canada and the United States. We've got homelessness, raging rate hikes, taxes, some of the highest taxes on the planet. We've got major issues with people rolling in through our borders and some of them potentially being dangerous people that have been caught on our borders already, potential terrorists that have been coming into Canada, the United States. So I believe we're going to have our own issues in our own countries. So when we're having our own issues and we're going outside of our countries to try to help other countries and we're funding these wars, it doesn't seem like anything is getting better. If anything, it feels like these situations are escalating. This feels like an escalation. And that's why I say I personally have to blame Joe Biden and Trudeau for escalating all of these wars. First, it was the Russia Ukraine war, which I believe both of them escalated and funded. Clearly, they funded with billions of dollars. And now it's this war in the Middle East, which is escalating quickly. And I don't see them doing anything to make it better. If anything, they're adding fuel to the fire, which makes it extremely dangerous and extremely shocking and scary. And I've been reporting on this for weeks now, and I see people on both sides. And initially, there was a lot of anger on both sides. Now it's like getting to the point where people are just like, you know what? We just want this to end. What's the solution to end this? On both sides, there's people that are praying for peace, praying for a ceasefire. The United States and Israel do not want a ceasefire. They've made that very, very clear. We're going to get into that as well. So let's go into the next topic here because they don't want a ceasefire. And I want to talk about this because this is extremely disturbing. And I don't know if this is true, but this is what is being reported from the Jerusalem Post. Hamas terrorists admit we hide under hospitals in Gaza. What do you think about that, Nash Cowboy?
It was actually one of their people that were captured, I believe, that admitted that. It's quite sickening. They're doing it just so that they won't get attacked. Um, it's quite cowardice um, to hide. He said that they were particularly hiding under the hospital, so they're not going to level a hospital just to get to them. And they know that, not intentionally anyway. And it's quite cowardice to attack a country and then go and hide under a hospital or a school or anything like that when you're getting attacked back. Um, it's disturbing, and I don't know. Again, I don't want to take sides in it, but that's not very. Whew, I don't even know how to comment on that, man.
It's
It's
crazy,
crazy,
right?
right? Yeah.
Like,
Like Israel's not going to back down. Um, they got attacked, and they're saying enough is enough. They're not gonna back down. So the rest, Hamas has to come to a solution to back down. Otherwise, it's gonna get uglier and uglier. That's where I see this going.
well, you know what? I agree with you. And, there's been a lot of reports that in Gaza, the Hamas are using people as human shields. Now, I don't know if this is true or not, and we're not here to pick a side, We just want a pathway to peace. You've got children, I've got children. We want our kids to have a future. We want the Palestinian kids to have a future. We want Israeli kids to have a future. We have to be able to figure out a solution. The solution that I keep hearing from other countries is that there needs to be a two-state situation. Israel needs their territory, Palestinians need their territory. I think we've agreed to that. The problem is that there's consistent fighting on both sides, and it's like gang warfare. You kill one guy, we come back, we get revenge, we kill someone on that side, now we come back, we get revenge. So we've seen 14 or 1500 Israelis get slaughtered and massacred reportedly, and now we're hearing 7,000 Palestinians have been slaughtered reportedly. We don't know if any of this is true, but the reality is these are innocent civilians that are dying. These are not politicians. It's the politicians that are sitting there that are profiting from this war, that are making all the decisions, that are sending these young adults to die. They're the ones to blame, in my opinion. These high level politicians are making all the decisions, but they're not sending their kids to war. I've heard multiple reports, and I don't want to mention names, of high level politicians whose kids are not even in the country. Why aren't their kids going to war? They're sending innocent civilians to go and die. And innocent civilians are dying for political posturing. And it's absolutely disgusting. And we're having our own issues in our own backyards, right here in Canada, right in the United States, and all over the world. And I don't think we should be putting so much energy into killing each other all over the world. We need to put our energy into making the world a better place, working together so that our children have a future and our children can feel safe, can grow up and have kids themselves, and their kids' can have a future, and their kids' can feel safe, and their kids' can get an education. It's not fair that these children right now in Gaza are living in horror, and males and females and men and women and children of all ages are living in horror. It's not fair that people in Israel are picking up dead bodies. So I think the whole world needs to come together and figure out a resolution and a path to peace, and we need to stop the violence and stop the fighting. I know you agree as well. And I really, really hope that this is not true, this report, that they are building these sites under hospitals, because that's just, it's heartbreaking to think that that's something that they would do. All right, so this is another article that I want to talk about. UN chief surprised by escalation of Israel's bombardment, calls for a humanitarian ceasefire. So that's something that we just talked about. I think we should see a ceasefire. I think we need a path to peace. So this is very, very, very disturbing, in my opinion, that we are in this position. And they're calling for a ceasefire right now. They just did a vote, and over 120 countries voted for this ceasefire. Here it is right here. Look at this. 120 countries voted for a ceasefire, including Nigeria, supported a humanitarian ceasefire resolution in the ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas at the UN General Assembly. Only 14 countries don't want a ceasefire. Two of those countries are the United States and Israel. Nash Cowboy, what do you think about this?
Well, first, let me touch on the point you said about a two-state system. That started back in 1946. The British came in and separated them. They gave them two states. They gave Israel all the unwanted land. They gave them all the sand. It was undeveloped, and then Palestine got all the usable land that was already developed. And then it not much time at all went by, and they weren't happy with that, and they went to war with Israel again and lost, and it became even less land for the Palestinians. Unfortunately, war is never a good thing. As far as up to date on what you just mentioned just now, uh, because back to that, a two-state system hasn't worked. It's been tried. So should it work? Yes. Will it work? It hasn't in the last. 70 years. Um, but as far as like what you just mentioned, the U.S. chief, that guy, I think his name's Antonio something. I'm not sure. Uh, he is for the Socialist Party. Okay, so that's the first thing you got to recognize. I put no stock in anything a socialist says. Um, do do I think there needs to be a ceasefire? Yes, but what is this guy's plan? Because he's just a socialist. Um, I do agree with him, but will it happen? Can you have a ceasefire? I don't think you can. What happens in a ceasefire? Russia and Ukraine tried it. There was a ceasefire agreement there, but what happened? Ukraine was still attacking, and Russia was attacking back, and then it kept on with this little firefight bickering for years. And the same thing has happened in Israel and Palestine. What does a ceasefire solve? Historically, nothing. Um, and I hate to say that because I would love to see a ceasefire on both ends and it stop. Because, like we both said, we're tired of seeing death on both sides. We're not taking either side, and it would be great to have that. But unfortunately, it hasn't solved anything in any part of the world. It always comes down to war, and whatever the outcome of the war is whatever the outcome of the war is. Unfortunately, it always escalates to that. It'd be great to see a ceasefire, though, Rich. It would.
Well, I think we need it. I mean, without the ceasefire, we're just going to have senseless killing. And I don't see anyone winning this war right now. You can hear the Hamas is saying we're going to wipe out the Jews. We know that's not going to happen because there's Jewish people all over the world. We've also seen the Israelis say they're going to wipe out Hamas, and we know that's not going to happen because there's Hamas and apparent terrorists, if they want to call them that, all over the world. So you're not going to just end either side here. That's not happening. And I don't believe the world is going to just sit back and watch them end each other. I don't think that's going to happen either. So there needs to be a resolution. And we can see that what's happening in Russia, between Russia and Ukraine, they've been fighting for over a year. And it seems like no one even talks about that war anymore because that's just going to go on forever. There's no end to that one either. So as people, we need to find a resolution so that people can go on with their lives and live a normal life. I feel sorry for these children. I feel sorry for those families who are homeless right now. I've heard that there's 2.5 million Palestinians and refugees in Gaza. 1.2 million of them are homeless. I mean, could you imagine being homeless and be living in this war? What would you do? Where would you go? These people are not being welcomed anywhere. There's nowhere in the Middle East where these people are being welcomed. They're not allowing them to leave, which means they're staying there and they're going to die. They've got no food, no water, no electricity, no internet. They're being bombarded by airstrikes. This is some people call it a genocide. It's terrible. It's a terrible situation. I don't know the solution, but I believe we need to take a path to peace. I'm not here to pick a side because both sides, in my opinion, are right in some ways, and both sides have done terrible things. So it's a bad situation. The whole world is getting involved. We've seen the United States now is starting to have problems with Iran. That could escalate and get much worse. We're still seeing issues with Russia and Ukraine. So there's literally wars raging now everywhere, all over the Middle East, in the Ukraine. What's next? We've heard about China wanting to take over Taiwan. We've heard about China and the Philippines. And Biden came out and said, if China wants to go after the Philippines, we've got the Philippines back. It just seems like Biden doesn't even think about what he talks about. He doesn't think about the consequences. He's not thinking about the current consequences of any of his actions. And it's very, very concerning. And this is why I believe we need Trump in power now. And we'll talk about Trump a little bit later. So let's talk about the next topic here, which is
Absolutely.
Bitcoin.
When Biden mentions something like that, he has no The guy doesn't even know where he is half the time. Like I said, he's made us the laughing stock of the world. No one respects what he says. Everything is BS. And you're right. We do need someone like Trump, a respectable president, a president that the world respects.
I agree with you 100%. Now let's change gears a little bit. Obviously, the war is a hot topic, but I want to talk about Bitcoin because Bitcoin's been extremely hot. So I want to break down these statistics. We got Earl in the chat. Earl, I know you're driving right now, but Earl says Palestine needs to step up and release its own people if they're tired of getting intact and just saying that we're attacking Palestinians, then they are they truly Palestinians? Police its own people. Giorgio says, been a while, Rich. Glad to see you're at it. Keep up the great work. Hey, appreciate you, brother. Hope you're doing well, man, and stay safe. All right, guys. So I just want to change gears and talk about Bitcoin. And Bitcoin's had a monster week. We were here last week. We talked about Bitcoin almost the whole show. And we all believed that Bitcoin was going to go higher. And we were 100% correct again. Since we've been doing this show, we've been correct on Bitcoin literally step by step and week by week. You've been bang on Bitcoin. Take a look at this. If you invested $10,000 in Bitcoin 10 years ago, they've got the biggest assets in the world. Amazon 10 years ago, Bitcoin 10 years ago, Meta 10 years ago, which is Facebook, Alphabet 10 years ago, Netflix 10 years ago, Tesla 10 years ago, and Apple 10 years ago. Had you invested 10,000 in Bitcoin 10 years ago, you would have $2.8 million. Had you invested 10,000 in Amazon, you'd have 93,000. Not bad, 9x. On Meta, Facebook, you'd have 81,000. Not bad, 10x, 8x. Alphabet, which is Google, not bad. You'd have 5.7x, 5.7 times your money. Netflix, 121,000. Not bad. You'd have 12 times your money. Tesla, second best behind Bitcoin, and they've also owned a lot of Bitcoin. 27 and a half times your money if you invested 10,000 into Tesla 10 years ago. Apple, $101,000, 10 times your money if you bought Apple 10 years ago. But Bitcoin, 2.8 million. That's 285 times your money in 10 years if you invested $10,000 in Bitcoin, which tells me that Bitcoin is by far the single greatest investment over the last 10 years in our lifetimes. You would not make 285 times your money on gold. You would not make 285 times your money on real estate. You would not make 285 times your money on any other major asset in the world other than Bitcoin. Nash Cowboy, what do you think about this?
Well, I'm with you on that. Just a few short years ago, I was completely against cryptocurrency. Thought it was a complete scam, and a lot of people do. And the reason is because they see it drop so drastically. But they, at that point, just like me, just like probably you, we didn't understand that Bitcoin has a cycle, and Bitcoin's going to do what Bitcoin has always done historically, and it's going to go up in a bull market. And there's a 4-year cycle, and even without the ETFs coming, Bitcoin is going to do what Bitcoin's going to do, and that's make some people a lot of money if they study it and understand that cycle. That's the basics of it. You got to understand that cycle rather than seeing it start to drop and freak out and sell at a loss. You got to understand that it's got a cycle coming back. Um, you know, put the ETFs coming on the side. Bitcoin has the potential to make a lot of money in this next bull market, even without the ETFs. Then you put the ETFs in there, and who knows what the possibilities are. Some people predict $2 million. I don't think it's going to go that high, at least not yet. One day, yes, but I don't think it's going to go that high. I'm still banking on historical, uh, around 120 on the low, 180 on the high. If it goes higher than that, well, that's just a bonus. If the ETFs spark it higher than that, that's just a bonus.
Yeah, I agree
Yeah, I
with you.
agree with you.
I love Bitcoin. I got a big Bitcoin here on my desk. I've loved Bitcoin since day one. I've been talking about Bitcoin, and we've been talking about Bitcoin literally every single week on our show. We called its dips. You've called their dips perfectly. I've talked about the dips. We've talked about the rips. We predicted that it would jump past 30,000 in October, November. We've been 100% correct. Last week we were here when it was at 30,000. We said, hey, maybe next week it'll be at 31 or 32,000. We're sitting at 34,000. It was at 35,000 this week. And we're still in October. I know you call it Rocktober. So, you were bang on with your predictions on Bitcoin. And I think it's important for people to look at it and see these numbers. Bitcoin speaks for itself. It is the single greatest investment of our lifetimes. And I think it's silly for people not to participate in the single greatest investment of our lifetimes. And I got someone on TT here saying that, they believe that Bitcoin's a scam. So this is the problem. A lot of people really don't understand Bitcoin.
And until
they understand, we're going to continue to have this issue with Bitcoin where 95% of the people don't own it and 5% of the people do. And unfortunately, the 5%, people like me and people like you and everyone that owns it, they're going to be the ones that are going to take advantage of the 285% times your money in 10 years. And the people that sit on the sideline are going to wish they took advantage and wish they got involved because they still believe it's illegal or it's wrong or it's bad or it's for criminals. Meanwhile, BlackRock, the largest institution in the world, is starting to buy it. JP Morgan, one of the largest banks in the world, is starting to buy it. Huge institutions, high net worth investors, and banks all over the world are starting to get involved and starting to buy it. And here's my next topic right here. So Bitcoin faces, here is the topic. Bitcoin faces a reality check if ETF launches spark sell the news pivot. So what that means is a lot of people buy the rumor, sell the news. And that's what we're seeing on Bitcoin right now. People are buying the rumor up. And when these spot Bitcoin ETFs get approved, which hopefully is going to be soon, a lot of people might sell into that news because of all the buying in advance. Do you think that this is going to be a buy the rumor, sell the news event, and people are going to sell into the news when these Bitcoin spot ETFs get approved? Or do you think that they're going to continue to go higher? Because that's something I've been thinking about myself. I've been thinking about selling a little bit because it's doubled in a year. And it's silly not to think about selling when you've doubled your money and you're watching your account grow. So do you think that after these Bitcoin spot ETFs get approved, that it'll just continue going up? Or do you think a lot of people will run to sell the news at that point? Buy the rumor, sell the news. What's your opinion on that?
Well, again, we know crypto fluctuates. All right. There's gonna be dips all the way up, but throughout the whole entire bull market, into 2025, it's going to be going up. I mean, historically, that's what it's always done. The ETFs are going to spark it even higher, in my opinion. The people that say it's a scam, they don't understand cryptocurrency to begin with. All right. I was that person, so I know. So that person on TT saying that, to you, I would say research it more.
say we're saying
We're saying
TT, that's
TT,
TikTok.
that's TikTok.
Yeah.
Thank you
The
for those of you on TikTok.
on TikTok.
I was that person that thought it was a scam, until I started actually researching it. I started seeing my friends making tons and tons of money. And I'm like, okay, obviously I was looking at it wrong. There's money to be made here. And then I started learning about all of our major banks are already invested in a complete crypto system. We are going digital. Our own Federal Reserve is going to a digital system. Um, they're going to go crypto. If they're Go to the Federal Reserve website, you can see it. We are going crypto, whether you like it or not. I don't particularly like the idea of not having cash available, but I see it coming, so therefore I invest. Um, it's got its cycle. Is it going to cause a sell? Look, if BlackRock, let me rephrase that. When BlackRock gets the ETF approved, there's no limits on where it could go. You're talking about a company that manages, like, what is it, $12 trillion worth of assets? That's equivalent to a quarter of the whole world's money. Do they manage a quarter of the whole world's money? No, they manage equivalent to that in assets, $12 trillion. I believe it's 12 trillion. It might be nine. Um, so it's going to keep going up at that point because when BlackRock starts investing in it, we're not talking about small amounts of money. As people are selling, BlackRock's still going to be buying, and it's not just BlackRock; it's other major banks and institutions. Um, there's no stopping it at this point. But even like I said before, even without that, Bitcoin's going to do what Bitcoin's going to do. All the other altcoins are going to follow. There's a lot of money to be made on those. Ethereum, SHIB, all kinds of cryptos. They will go up with Bitcoin, just like they always do. And you just got to understand when to stop. And taking profits, like you said, you've thought about taking profits. There's no shame in taking profits. If you're in the green, you're good. Now you're gonna feel like, oh man, I sold one Bitcoin at 30,000 and it went to 180. I lost out. No, you profited. So there's no shame in that. Uh, but I do think right now is not the time to sell.
I think we
I
have
think we have
Blaze joining
Blaze
us.
joining us.
Blaze,
Blaze, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, Blaze, welcome. I been speaking with Nash Cowboy, and he's been holding down the fort. And great to have you here. So one of my questions is, you could see on the title here that Bitcoin faces a reality check if ETF launches spark sell the news pivot. So what a lot of people are speculating is in investing, there's this thing called buy the rumor, sell the news, which is happening right now. Everyone's buying Bitcoin with the idea that when these Bitcoin spot ETFs get approved, that the price will skyrocket. But a lot of times what happens is people buy the rumor, and then when the Bitcoin ETF actually gets approved, there will be a sell the news event. Maybe there'll be a little spike, but then it'll come back down because everyone will be ready to sell at that point. Do you think that the price of Bitcoin will go up after those Bitcoin spot ETFs get approved? Or do you think it'll be more of a sell the news event where people are just going to dump into all of the momentum that's been built?
I think it's going to be like a 75-25 ratio. There's going to be sellers no matter what. Everybody buys the news, sells the hype. Trust me. So I would definitely say Bitcoin is still going to rise because that's not the only news. The halving's coming in March, and that's a great reason to keep it going.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I don't
100%.
think Bitcoin is going to fail at all. It's just going to.
And that's why I haven't been selling because I believe it's just going to keep going too. I mean, there's so many catalysts.
Can't sell because look, countries are getting into this, right?
I got a question on TikTok. Is the bull market coming? I believe we're in the bull market for crypto. As far as the stock market's concerned, I don't believe that the bull market is coming right now. I think we got too much of an issue with inflation and high rates. I think we need to take control of that. But once we reduce the rates, the interest rates, and the rates start coming down, I think we will go into a bull market in the stock market.
But the stock market's
done well this year for the top 7 stocks. Everything else has struggled. But the top stocks in the world have done well, and Bitcoin's done really well this year.
So if you've been in those stocks, which I have been,
Bitcoin, you've done extremely well.
Everything
else has struggled. So this is my next topic. Bitcoin is up 20% in the last week. Been a monster week. What do you guys think about this 20% in the last week? Is now the time to sell, or do you think we're going to go higher? What do you think, Nash Cowboy?
I think this in particular pump, as I predicted, and you as well predicted a pump in October, back to history again. October of an accumulation year, which is what we're in right now, is considered Rocktober. A lot of people call it that. There's always big pumps in that accumulation year, October. Uh, Historically, there's a little bit of a dip in November and December, but not much. And then it slightly goes up from there. I'm just telling you what history has said throughout every accumulation year. And then to answer your person's question on TikTok, are we in a bull market? We are heading into it, yes. And it's after March 20th to 27th is the Bitcoin halving, and we will be full force. We are still in an accumulation year for the next couple months. That's all you have left. After that, I'm sorry. Then you've sold. You haven't invested in time to get full gains. You can still get gains because after the Bitcoin halving cycle, it's going to be up, 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 little dips, but it's going to steady climb. It's historical. It will happen. And the longer you wait to invest, the less gains you can profit during that bull market. Waiting too long is like you said, Bitcoin's up what 35,000, 34,000, somewhere around there now.
It's at
It's at
34,000. I'll
34,000.
have it on the screen
right now.
And what was it down to, like 16.5 or something like that?
It started the
It
year
started
at
the year at
16.
16.
We were at
We were at
15 last year.
last year.
Yeah,
So it's
So
more
it's
than
more than
doubled in the
doubled
last
in the
year.
last year.
So you've already lost a double there. You've already lost an X there. So the longer you wait to invest, the less gains you can get. But it will keep pumping. Absolutely.
Okay, we got Earl saying yes, both. ADA is a nice pivot point for sure. And Giorgio says he needs some Bitcoin. I've been buying XRP and Cardano. Hey, listen, those are good picks too. I like those two as well. And I'd like to get a bag of XRP and Cardano myself. I have a little bit XRP, but I'm mainly Bitcoin and Ethereum. But Bitcoin is my number one, 75% of my portfolio. 24% of my portfolio is Ethereum, and the other 1% is just like a little bit of Ripple and Decentraland and some other coins.
But I definitely
need more.
Don't miss the
I
trend.
definitely
need more.
Only got,
No, I know we
I
have
know we have a little bit
couple
of
months
echo.
left.
I apologize.
I think we got to mute while one person talks.
Yeah. I talked to Nash about that. We have a little bit of an issue from his end, but we'll get it handled. Blaze, what do you think about this with Bitcoin?
Can you give me the question again?
Yeah, so Bitcoin went up 20% this week. Do you think it's going to continue the momentum, or do you think that this is the time to sell right now for Bitcoin?
Well, I mean, sell a little, make a little bit of money, but save the majority. I'd say 90-10, 90% keep it, make a couple bucks. Everybody's in it to make a couple bucks. I get it, but don't overdo it. I say hold because I believe Bitcoin is going to skyrocket within the next 12 months.
Like we are literally, I'm charting it right now. Bitcoin is up 114% this year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a great investment for anyone that's been involved, including myself.
So if it goes up another 100% this year, it'll be at 68,000, almost all-time high, right? So, next year coming up, we'll see. I just think it's going to keep going up. I think we already had a downfall, and a lot of people are worried about regular banks with their money, and they're going to stop putting their money into a solid investment where they can actually cash it to any currency they want to. Because if the U.S. dollar keeps falling, at least you'll have Bitcoin staying strong, and you can cash it into pounds or whatever you want to do.
Okay, great. So let's take a look at this next.
It's a good security in my book.
Yeah, I mean, I love Bitcoin. I've been a holder for a long time, and I'm going to continue to be a holder. But I have thought about selling some because I'm up so much in the last year on my Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I think it'd be silly not to sell some. And I've been thinking about selling some because I'm up so much, and it feels great. But I haven't taken any of it, so it's not real money until you sell, guys.
Right.
So if you're up and you want something, you got to sell it. And if you don't sell it, then you're not really winning. So that's the problem. Great point, Earl. This is not financial advice. We are strictly here for information and entertainment and educational purposes. We're giving our own opinions about things. We're not experts in any of these fields, but we want to be able to help you guys get educated, get entertained, have some fun, and have intelligent conversations with our audience about what's going on in the most trending topics in the world and in the world in finance and in the world of news. And this is one of the topics that I think is big news in America. New Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, finally, after 22 days, We've got a new Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. What do you guys think? He holds favor with conservatives. He's apparently very conservative. He's also extremely religious. This is a man who's very, very religious. So is his wife. So do you guys feel like Mike Johnson will be a good speaker for the House? You guys are obviously in America. Nash Cowboy, what do you think?
Who the hell is Mike Johnson? No, a lot of people are asking that question right now. Who's Mike Johnson? Why haven't I ever heard of him before? You know, I think it comes down to balance. I think that a lot of people are going to look against him because he's so conservative. I really haven't researched him a whole lot, but I do know he takes some pretty conservative stances or religious stances, and a lot of people hate that. But I think it's a good balance because you also have extreme. He is extreme, but you also have a whole lot more extreme on the in the other direction. So I think I think it's good. At this point, we'll see what happens. We'll see what choices he makes. But I think it will help balance the extreme because we've been so far extreme in the other direction for so long that we need a little insight from the other side. I mean, we all have beliefs that disagree with other people's beliefs, and it's just a matter of coming together somewhere in the middle and doing what's best for the whole country, the whole world. Uh, and you have to have, there's a just like the whole gun control thing. There's people in this country completely against them, and then people like me are completely for them. Somewhere along the lines you got to meet as long as it's constitutional. Uh, and I believe he will bring some good insight, but there will definitely be some rejection from typically the left.
Well said. Blaze, what do you think about Mike Johnson taking over as the new Speaker of the House in America? I personally think he's very articulate. I listened to him speak the day he got nominated. I thought he was very articulate. Especially, he's a fresh breath of fresh air when you listen to Biden speak and then you listen to this guy speak. I'll listen to this guy speak over Biden any day of the week. What do you think, Blaze?
Yeah, from the way I hear him talk, and I've seen him here and there, conservative, religious, family man, the American dream. I like the conservative part. You got to think before you speak. You can't just go gung ho all the time. You know what I mean? You definitely got to be patient with things. So a conservative is more patient, and they tend to figure out, ways around things. You know what I mean? Without losing too much. I like that. So a speaker is better than no speaker right now, and we don't look stupid again.
I agree 100%. I
We
like him.
needed to fill the
From what I've
void,
seen, I
and
like him.
conservative is a good way to go.
I mean, a lot of people are saying he's very radical. He's anti-abortion. He's pro-Trump, which I like because I like Trump. I feel Trump was good for America. Some people disagree because apparently since Biden's been in charge, there's been tons of jobs, so that's a positive. But what about the high inflation? What about the high interest rates? What about the homelessness?
Our problem
What
is
about
right
all the
now
wars?
financial, and we need somebody in there.
Like there's a lot of negatives too. So what about the border issue and the lack thereof of the border in Canada and the United States, and having people just walking into our country like Swiss cheese that could potentially create a security issue in our country?
It already is.
This is what I'm concerned about. And he's talked about it. Mike Johnson's talked about these security issues. So he's a very sharp guy. He's on top of things, in my opinion, way more than Biden is. So I feel like he's a step in the right direction for America. I'd love to see Trump take that role as president, and I think America would be right back on top. But this is what's concerning me about Trump right now. Trump's daughter, I mean, this is crazy. The judge is ruling that Ivanka Trump must testify against her own father. What do you think about this? Like, what's going on in America, man? These judges are getting weird. They're fining Trump. Apparently, first they fined him $5,000, then $10,000, then $15,000. Trump's going crazy. He hates the fact that this judge is ordering his daughter to testify against him. What do you guys think about the fact that Trump's daughter, Ivanka, is being forced to testify against her own father? What do you think, Nash?
I don't think that she'll say anything against them. Will she testify? Yeah, she's ordered to, but you also, she may go extreme and say, "I plead the fifth." You know, she has
I just
that
think
right.
I just think
dirty.
it's dirty.
Um, the it's insane. It's been a complete attack on Trump since the beginning, since day one as president. They've tried to get him to shut up, and they can't do it. And he's bringing so many things forth that the other party has done that they can't stand it, and it's a witch hunt in my opinion. And some people don't agree with me. My own dad is completely the opposite direction. He's all Biden, and but to each their own on their views. uh, as long as you can have a civilized conversation about it, then you can get somewhere. But these people have no civilized conversations. It's just attack, 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 attack. Go after Trump at all costs. It's a complete witch hunt. Just like the conservative media says, like I hate quoting them, but that's exactly what it seems like. Um, as far as the fines he's getting for breaking the gag order, whatever happened to our freedom of speech?
That's what he's at.
That's what he's
that
asking.
judge needs to be tried, because you cannot you cannot stop freedom of speech in this country. He has that right. Screw your gag order. That judge needs to be in jail. Um, as far as Ivanka testifying, I'm sure she'll get up there, but and it's actually quite pathetic that a judge would even insinuate that she needs to testify. Uh, I don't see her saying anything bad about him. So maybe they're trying to get her for perjury so that it's another attack on his family. That's probably what it's going to boil down to. They'll probably bust her with some bogus charge, just like they have Trump. That's my opinion on it. That they're trying to attack anyone surrounding Trump. We see that. Uh, anyone in his campaign. I mean, they've attacked everyone. So why wouldn't they attack his family too?
Blaze, what do you think about this?
Um,
Ivanka being ordered to testify against her own father. I find it disgusting. I'm starting to wonder if this judge is a Democrat. Like, what is going on here?
well,
Like, he's got to be a Democrat.
he's trying to lose his job, so that's already going to happen later on. Second of all, to have somebody's kid testify against him is evil. It's pretty filthy to do to somebody's kid. I don't care how old the kid is, still your dad.
And Trump is
And,
choked.
and
Trump is
I don't believe
angry
that's an
about this.
American way either. So unless it's murder,
It's terrible.
right? Like murder, loss of life, then that's different. Okay. If a dad committed a murder, a lot of kids wouldn't be happy with their dad. You know what I mean? But this is not murder. This is pathetic. It's a setup on her, okay, to get her involved into her dad's business, and it's not fair to her. So I think something will be done about it.
I find it disgusting. I
Yeah,
think
it's
it's
a bad
wrong.
move by the judge. I think he's planning his retirement.
Yeah, it blows my
Probably his
mind.
last year, and he's
So
like, you know what, I'm going to go all out. They're going to pay me good on this one.
yeah. So let's talk about this last topic here as we're running out of time, but this is a very sad, sad situation. So there was a mass killing in Maine, in Lewiston, Maine. This is the culprit. The manhunt for Robert Card happened for a few days, and then the news is, I mean, it seems odd. They couldn't find him, and then apparently he killed himself. So they say, and they found his body, his lifeless body, after he killed himself. But before he killed himself, he murdered, I believe, 18 people in Lewiston, Maine, some at a bowling alley, some at a restaurant. And it's just heartbreaking because he just went in there and murdered 18 people and then 13 are injured. It's all over the news. Then they do a massive manhunt for multiple days, shut down schools. Everybody in the entire city is living in fear. This is what I'm talking about. These are the types of problems that are happening in America. And I think we need to focus on the problems that are happening in our own backyard before we start trying to solve problems in other countries. What do you think about this, guys? This is terrible. I heard there's been over 560 mass shootings in America so far this year. I know that this is going to be another one of those reasons that they try to fight for gun control. I know that you guys have your own opinions about that. Nash Cowboy, what do you think about this?
Well, you know, I don't say this is factual. I'm on the conspiracy side of this. Uh, like you've seen, I posted a video um, right after it happened that I don't think that's that guy. I zoomed in on the picture of the guy, and I don't think they're the same person. I think he's a fall guy. I personally think he was dead before the shooting ever took place. When you zoom in on the other guy, I don't think it's the same guy. I think it's set up. Uh, I do think they're going to use it. Well, they've already mentioned it for more gun control, a ban on assault weapons, even though there's no such thing as an assault weapon. It's just a word that they use to make something sound bad. Uh, it's crazy. It's a horrible thing that happened. I pray for the families of the victims. Um, but there's too much fishy stuff going on with it. None of it makes sense. And I personally don't believe it was him.
Wow, okay. Uh, what do you think about this,
All
Blaze?
the more for people that have gun rights. Look at the people with gun rights. Uh, there's a high percentage of those people that are not going to go out and just start shooting at people. They're registered. They're known. Bullets are registered to their names. Everything. Um, if you got Nash packing, he's legal to pack, and this guy Fruitcake walks up into a restaurant and starts trying to shoot people, then we're going to get protected by a civilian that can carry. So it shouldn't go against our gun rights. You know what I mean? It should be more stricter laws to pick up a gun. Okay, your credibility and mental testing. They need to do a psych test evaluation on people that actually are trying to get guns, including cops need an evaluation every year in my book. So within 12 months, something can go wrong and make a cop twisted and do his thing. Military guys, PTSD, all the above. I think, the restrictions against people having guns, I don't agree on because it's your right. But the thing is, I think you need to qualify. Okay, enough of the amendments, enough of my rights and this and that. If you are not mentally fit, you're not going to walk around with a gun in my book, and that's how it should be.
Yeah, I think it's brutal. It's really,
You
really
got to do
sad what
follow
happened
up mental
here.
testing, man. You do. People that have guns should report for mental evaluations, and that's how it has to be.
Yeah, it's the pro that brings up a whole lot of problems is who's doing the testing. This is something that I would somewhat disagree, but I do agree. Because who's to say some strict liberal saying that, oh, well, he's just not mentally fit just because they don't want anybody to have guns. Um, but then you got to go throughout
I
history.
say, I say your own
All these
personal
people,
doctor.
all these
Your
people
own
doing
personal
mass
doctor.
all these people doing mass shootings are usually illegal to have guns. Very rarely is it a law-abiding citizen, and that's why I think whoever did this shooting picked this guy, who happened to be trained. He happened to be a weapons instructor. He's the perfect fall guy for the situation. Um, so, like I said, I'm on the conspiracy side of that. I have been from the start, along with some other shootings. But uh, you never hear, like Blaze said, if somebody like me, which packs, and I do everywhere I go, in every single building I go in, um, if somebody like that comes in, I'm taking them out. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I'm not going to think twice. I'm pulling the trigger. And that happens quite frequently. But the liberal media will never tell you about that. They'll never tell you about a guy that walked into a mall and started shooting, and somebody was packing, pulled it out, and stopped him before he got more than one person down. You'll never hear that in the news, that guns saved lives against people that do horrible things.
Well, one of the things that really blows my mind about this story is the fact that in Maine, people can carry guns. And there was no report of anyone who fought back. Not one person fought back. Not one person had a gun, apparently. It just seems weird. Like, you're allowed to have guns there. Why did not one person shoot back? It just seems bizarre. Now, maybe it was a bowling alley. People don't bring guns to a bowling alley.
But you
maybe
can have guns there. You had public places that could be having guns behind the counter. Like nobody retaliated to stop this guy.
And apparently the gun sales in Maine went through the roof after this happened, because you are allowed to carry in Maine. I researched this. We researched this. We're like, are you allowed to carry in Maine? You are allowed to carry in Maine. So if you're allowed to carry in Maine, why didn't anyone try to fight back? Apparently he had a big gun. Obviously it's scary. You know what I mean? He's probably better with the gun than you are. I guess that's a part of it. I know if Nash Cowboy was there, he'd fight back. So I don't know. Like, maybe there needs to be more security everywhere. Maybe we need to step up security. Maybe we need to spend more money on security everywhere we go, because we're living in a world now where it's just not safe anymore. When you hear about 560 mass shootings in America, and mass shootings are 4 more people. There's been 560 times where 4 more people have been shot.
That's almost 2 a day. That's almost the average of 2 mass shootings a day for the whole year.
So it's obviously a problem. So what's the solution to this problem? At the same time, you don't want to take guns away, because if there is some type of a terrorist attack that happens on American soil, it's good that people have guns so they can protect themselves.
Because we saw what happened in
Israel.
Those people
walked
into
into their homes
and weren't able to protect
themselves.
That number is very skewed, though. Okay, that is not. That's including gang shootings. That's including all kinds of things. That number is very liberal skewed. That's not somebody just, walking into school. They want to make it sound like somebody's walking into a school every day shooting it up, and it's just not happening. The numbers are skewed, just like the amount of people that are killed by guns in America. A huge portion of those are suicide. So the numbers are a little bit skewed there.
All right, guys. Well, you know what? I wanted to thank you guys for joining us today. Nash Cowboy and Blaze, I really appreciate you guys being here. My message to everyone is, we need to figure out a way to make this world a better place for all of our children to have a future. I don't want my kids to live in fear. I know that Nash Cowboy and Blaze don't want their kids to live in fear. So the only way we can do that is if we come together and settle our differences properly, professionally, legally, put the guns down, stop killing each other, stop hurting each other, stop destroying each other. At the end of the day, we all have to share this world together. We're all brothers and sisters. We're all connected. No man or woman is better than anyone else because of their race, religion, or color. None of that makes any difference. Money doesn't make a difference either. When you die, you can't take it with you. So just because you have more money doesn't mean that you should have the right or different privileges than someone that has less money than you. So I think we have some major problems in this world. I hope we can come together and figure it out. Hopefully here on the Bull and Bear Show, we can talk about it and we can come to some type of resolution, and hopefully we can make the world a little bit of a better place every week when we do our show. I appreciate you guys being here. This is the Bull and Bear Show, episode number 23. Gentlemen, do you have anything else you want to say before we say goodbye?
Just that may God bless America and Canada, because we're going downhill fast. God bless Israel and Palestine. And hopefully there's a solution in all our countries soon. Ukraine, Russia. We just pray for peace and for innocent people to stop dying.
Well, I'm going to come up with a new movement here. We're going to call it North America Strong. Look, Americans of any sort in North America, we got to get our issues squared away before we can go out and help others. because right now there's a lot of people in the United States and Canada feeling left behind by their own countries because we're visiting other countries, minding everybody else's business. So North America's strong. Let's make a new movement. Let's pump this out. I'm going to spread it around. We need to stand up together as a team, America and Canada, and as well as Mexico, North American. Let's go.
All right, guys, thank you for joining us. Guys, everyone that's watching, please go and follow Nash Cowboy and Blaze. I'll have a description to their channels in the description of the video, and we'll be praying for peace. We'll see you guys next week. Hopefully another great week for Bitcoin. Hopefully a better week for all the crazy stuff that's happening in the world, because it just seems like every week the escalation of violence continues. Hopefully next week we have some good news on that front, but it doesn't seem very likely, unfortunately. So thank you for watching. Have a great week. Happy Halloween to everyone. I'll show you guys our Halloween background. I thought that we have a pretty cool Halloween background here. I'll show you guys again. There's our there's a Halloween background. Hopefully you guys like it.
I love it. It looks cool, man. Weekend. Good job.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Have a great weekend, everyone. I'm your host of the most, your boy Rich from Rich TV. If you're not winning, you're probably not watching. We bring you CEO interviews, breaking news, trending topics, engaging shows with great co-hosts and guests. King Earl, thank you for being in the chat. King Earl says the issue is that liberal media makes people too scared to defend themselves without fear of charges. Yes, I agree with that. That's another thing we got to figure out. Maybe we'll use that as a topic for our next show. Thank you guys. Have a great day. I'm out.
Salute.
Peace.